Architecture shapes our built environment. It is more than a combination of art and design fulfilling a utilitarian purpose. It is a reflection of a society's values and aspirations. At its most powerful, architecture can be transformative, not only creating spaces that inspire, challenge and delight, but can forge a path for society at large and provide a tangible vision of what is possible. Across Australia, architects, urban planners and community leaders are using community-focused design to solve real-world problems and create more sustainable and inclusive environments. Join us as we explore how design can create vibrant and healthy local communities that foster connection and local engagement. Sustainability has never been more imperative. Businesses are looking to the future of sustainable practices in order to cultivate a better future. One such example is Eric Tweedale Stadium. Located in Sydney's western suburbs, Eric Tweedale Stadium is a multi-purpose sport and recreation centre opened in 2021.
So we're here in Granville Park in Marylands, which is in Western Sydney. Referred to as Western Sydney, but is now really the geographical heart of Sydney. And this area of Granville Park has a really interesting history that reflects the local community. So it's been a park since 1887, formerly looked after by the Granville Council. And of course, originally colonialist New South Wales, it was a park where we played cricket in summer and rugby in winter, and that was about it. But as the century moved on into the 20th century, we took on more sports and it became an interesting park for baseball and cycling, and also soccer was introduced. The history of this area is also reflected in this park. In World War I, it was a training ground for the army. And then during the Depression, it became an area for political rallies. And we actually have planned a speaker's corner to reflect the speaker's corner that used to exist in the 1930s, where they had political rallies here and politicians spoke to the community. And then when World War II broke out, the American Navy took it over and it became an American naval base. And a hospital was here for treating returned soldiers who'd been wounded in the war. The hospital then was transferred to become housing, temporary housing for soldiers who'd returned from World War II, and also new migrants who'd come here fleeing from the war.
In 2016, Cumberland Council was founded as part of a merger process between parts of the cities of Auburn, Parramatta and Holroyd. As a result of this process, the council was then successful in receiving funding from the state government.
In 2016, New South Wales underwent some major mergers of councils, and from that the Cumberland Council was formed, and we inherited Granville Park from the Parramatta Council. And looking at the park at that stage, the stadium was in really poor condition. The electrical wiring was pretty dodgy, the plumbing was terrible, there was asbestos in the building. We made the decision to move the sporting organisations out of this building and then of course look at building this wonderful new stadium, the Eric Tweedale Stadium.
So Eric Tweedale Stadium is located in Cumberland Plains, and the idea for the project was to connect the stadium with its location, with its history, past and present. The stadium is named after Eric Tweedale. When we were engaged to deliver Granville Park Stadium, and towards the completion of the project, the council decided to name the facility Eric Tweedale Stadium. Eric Tweedale is a rugby player that played for Wallabies, and at the year of a completion, he turned 100 years. So it was amazing to have him at the opening of the facility. And yes, I'm pretty proud that the facility is named after a rugby player. We were engaged by Cumberland City Council in 2018 as a lead consultant. And the brief from the council was to create a community facility that is highly sustainable. We didn't want to have another suburban grandstand and have, again, steel and concrete structure. So timber was a perfect choice to get sustainability, but also connect the community with the grandstand and its main function is a community space.
The sustainable approach to building using timber also serves as a strong connection with its history. In the early 1800s, this area was heavily forested. The design of Eric Tweedale Stadium aims to connect with this past and bring its heritage back to the park.
We know that the open space we have now is absolutely precious, and we have to do everything we can to improve its quality and make it useful in a multi-purpose way so that different needs can be served from the same space. And that's really the philosophy behind this stadium.
The whole idea for the project, and also talking to the client, was to create a facility that is highly sustainable, low waste, low carbon, and energy efficient. And timber was one of the things that we introduced. In Austria, where this timber comes from, there's 30 million cubic meters of forest grown, and 202 cubic meters that is used for Eric Tweedale Stadium would have grown in 8 minutes.
Construction began in June 2020, and like many projects, COVID-19 caused significant delays until its completion in September 2021.
Beginning of the process was smooth, and we were in the office collaborating with everybody. And then when COVID hit, we were working from home, and then the construction was already underway. We had one period during that, because the location is Western Sydney. Because I lived out of area, I couldn't come and inspect the works, so I was relying on photos and a lot of correspondence with the builder. During this process, I'm most proud of what we achieved for the community, and also the whole team, not just architects, but the whole team, the engineers, the surveyors, accessible consultants, fire engineers. We all worked very hard, and also timber supplier, to get a design delivered for this community.
The external timber design extends inside the structure with careful planning that allows Eric Tweedale Stadium to truly become a multi-purpose sport and recreation centre with community at the heart of its design.
One of the things that I really love about this stadium is that every time I come here, I'm attending something completely different. So I've been here for business functions, I've been here for community picnics, I've been here for state government presentations and wonderful sport.
For additional sustainability practices, cross-ventilation was incorporated for the ground level of the stadium. Basically, only the function room is a conditioned space and everything else is cross-ventilated, incorporating a lot of louvers. We also have provision of photovoltaics on the roof. 2 water tanks. One water tank is for the irrigation of the field and the another for irrigation of the landscape. All landscape was with native planting, so it can sustain Australian conditions and low watering. And all other materials we used they're all sustainable and have all those cradle-to-cradle low VOC certifications.
One of the main functions of the stadium is that it serves as a home base for local rugby teams, with dedicated facilities for players to train, compete and connect with their community. Let's take a look inside.
Selection of colours, materials is really connecting the facility with history, heritage and natural environment. And with these, we particularly didn't want to clad any of the interior walls because we wanted to bring that natural beauty of raw material to the users of the facility. So with these long corridors, we came with this design within the blockwork and have this push and pull, creating interest in the long corridors because of the budget and not a lot of money to spend. So we couldn't do any signage, any murals. But I think with just playing with the material and blocks, it still looks pretty good.
Paying homage to the site's sporting legacy are the hallways lined with rugby stars and club achievements, fostering strong connection to the community.
We just wanted to connect with nature, with history and heritage. The colours came pretty much from site and from huge red and grey gum trees that are just west of the facility, between the facility and the car park. We used a lot of other sustainable materials. For example, the flooring here is Regipol and it's made of recycled tyres. It's material that is used for this type of facilities because players use footwear that has studs, so it's not slippery. And then within the change rooms, we used timber look laminates, so really connecting with nature. It's low maintenance, it's easy to navigate through the planning. Every single change room and therefore are exactly the same. They are unisex change rooms, and also each change room has accessible bathroom with a shower. So really providing for everyone.
Our mantra at Cumberland Council is welcome, belong, succeed. And so of course this stadium has been built with that in mind. We want to make it available to the community. We want it to be accessible. We want our diverse community to be able to use it in many different ways, and it's serving that purpose well.
So I'm sitting on concrete tiers of Granville Stadium. The base of the stadium, we used precast concrete and concrete in situ. And then for level 1, we used blue lime and CLT timber. We decided to use concrete for the bottom of the stadium, basically for its sturdiness. We could apply anti-graffiti coating. It was easy to maintain, and also protection from vandalism. Originally, we designed timber seats to go over this speed seating, but due to budget, we had to delete them. Now they're coming back, and I'm just looking with the client at a few options. So those timber seats will tie really well with the timber roof and will bring the whole design together. So Eric Tweedale Stadium is designed for 760 seats. That includes accessible seating. I think we provided 10 to 12 accessible seats. The accessibility is so important for these types of facilities, especially because you want to engage everybody. You want to have everyone involved in community games, in community happenings. The site for Eric Tweedale Stadium and the field was heavily contaminated, and because of the strict budget, we were not looking at sending this contaminated soil somewhere else. We were trying to look at options, what we can do on site. On 3 sides of the field, we created mounds on northeast and south, and contaminated soil is kept underneath, and then there is 300 mil of good soil, and then we have grass. So it really worked with the design, because now those mounds are used for seating as well. So you can have way more than 760 people. And for the first game that Two Blues had, I think it was around 2,000 or 3,000 people at the game.
The brief was to create an adaptable and flexible facility that connected and supported the community. The project needed to anticipate future growth and trends, respond to the site's heritage, and incorporate its current sporting culture with sustainability initiatives as a high priority.
We had 6 weeks of show drawings process, which structural engineer, the timber supplier, builder, and us were involved, going through every single connection and making sure that everything is working. So there's also steel bracing within the walls, and that had to work with the position of timber columns, with the position of timber beams. And so it's not just that timber is working, but also that it works with the rest of the building.
Representing an impressive achievement in timber engineering, the structure in the stadium was the first use of glulam timber for this type of facility in Australia. And while parts of the process were challenging, both the design team and the council were determined to stay loyal to the initial design intent. Arguably, one of the most important structural elements of this design are the impressive nearly 9-metre-long cantilevers. Commonly used in bridges, a cantilever is a long projecting beam that is unsupported at one end and used to hold a structure, such as a roof, in place. The beam must be weighted and firmly anchored in order to support the structure. In the Eric Tweedale design, the V-shaped cantilever is integral as it works to protect the structure against wind, vibration, and deflection forces. The timber columns are secured to a steel base. The steel base acts to separate and protect the timber column from sitting on the concrete floor below. There are freestanding columns as well as columns that are exposed in the interior function space. The glulam timber has warm and earthly colour tones that create an inviting and welcoming space for all the community, blending smoothly with the red and grey gum trees to the west of the facility, and again driving home that connection to the local environment and sustainability practices.
I really hope that this facility will be used by a wider community. It is used a lot at this stage, but I just hope that it will grow in its popularity first, because it's so flexible and adaptable. It's really working with so many groups and functions that you need to have in this type of facility.
Over time, it will become a place where people are very comfortable to use the space to celebrate their cultural heritage, to hold festivals, and to welcome and share their backgrounds with each other, because that's really where Cumberland's future lies.
When it came to site, it was pretty much just a few weeks. I think within 2 weeks that the whole timber structure came up. And I remember coming from Woodville Road and just seeing, taking turn and seeing the first beams up. And I was by myself in the car. I just said, wow. I was so impressed. And it was such a good feeling.